1059 and worldwide at thezone1059.com.
The show has begun. Welcome in on this Monday. A Reaction Monday. What are we reacting to? Well, a little bit of everything. Basketball, football, I don't know what all. A little bit of everything today with you on this Monday. Get on in here. You can be a part of the show. I hope you will be. You can call me, text me, comment on the live stream. Whatever floats your boat, get it on in here. Hey to you out there in Streamland, YouTube, and Facebook, X, formerly Twitter. See ya. I see you. Feel free to drop a comment in there and post it. It pops up right here on the screen. I can pop it up there for you. Danny's the first. He's on YouTube. He says, Hail State Matt from Ringgold, Georgia. Well, back at you, Danny. Always good to hear from you. Y'all can text me on the Country Pleasin' text line. Country Pleasin' sausage. On grocery store shelves all around the Southeast. It is the best sausage. Hands down. My opinion. There are others who share that opinion. Lots of others. Majority of others. Number to text the show is 885-3776. 601 number. 885-3776. Coming to your text in just a minute. And you can also call me on the Divinity Equipment phone line. The number to call is 897-1059. Got it? 601 number. 897-1059. Call me on that number. I get to hear your voice. And your voice is probably stronger than my voice right now. And not as crackly as mine is. So get on in here. Let me hear from you today. Let's say hey to good old buddy, old pal, neighbor, Beaver.
Matt Wyatt.
Hey, so we got I just thought of this. So we've got a texter on the show that's named Beaver's former neighbor. You ever hear from him?
No, I haven't heard from Steven in a while.
So Steven, okay. Beaver's former neighbor, Steven. Did I ever confirm with you that was actually someone who was your neighbor at one point? Yes?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he certainly was.
Okay. Why'd he move?
Well, let me tell you something.
Okay.
You may not find this hard to believe. So some people in homeowners associations can get really nutty.
Uh-huh.
And at one point, I believe former neighbor Steven's grandfather, he was the head of our HOA.
Okay.
And our tiny subdivision in Pearl had apparently some power battle of HOA presidents. It's stupid. They're like, I'm going to be the president. There's like backstabbing and there's power battles, but only when I say power, that's loosely. Okay. It's only in your head. The power. If you're one of these ridiculous HOA guys.
As the HOA president, your power has limits.
Exactly. And I believe his grandfather got a raw deal.
Okay.
And he's like, all right, well, I'm done here.
I'm out. Okay. All because of a homeowners association dispute.
Yep. I think that's what happened, if I remember right.
Beav, knock on some wood, but I have been able to avoid the homeowners associations. And I would think they're not all bad. It's not like it's an all bad thing. It's just sometimes you find the situation where things go a little nutty, as you said. I mean, I would think, that an association could do some good things. Well, all right. I don't even know why I thought of that. I guess what it is, Beaver, is it means that did you introduce him to the shows and to the radio station, or was he already a listener?
Yeah, he was already, because I remember he texted in one day, and I was like, whoa, hey,
Yeah.
I haven't talked to you in a long time.
Okay. Well, I just wondered if, like maybe we ought to come up. You know how like different companies and stuff, they'll give you a bonus or a boost if you recommend people.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you, I don't know, like you get a credit in some places if you recommend other customers come join them. How can we work something out on radio? We could always use more listeners. So we could. You get what if you introduce someone to the show and they become a regular listener? What do you get? I don't know. I guess we could just do the old-fashioned way, Beaver, and just attract more listeners by doing a better show. I guess I could do that. But that would be hard. At any rate, good to be here. Good to talk with Beaver on a Monday, too. Hey, all right, so basketball over the weekend, man. Let's just say it like this. Number one, Kentucky did shoot the lights out. Kentucky played really well. Now, I think State faltering on a defensive end had a lot to do with it. Now, I'm not an expert, but I don't know that State had its best defensive game. I think maybe, it's certainly not its best defensive effort. And out on the perimeter, Kentucky, they hit the shots. They shot the lights out. Went on some runs, but some of it was aided by the fact that they were wide open on the perimeter a bunch too. And not many people have talked about that. And so I don't care who you play in the SEC, it's going to be hard to win the game if you allow 95 points. Okay, so the other guy scored 95 points. You're going to have a hard time winning that against anybody in the SEC. So, some of that probably was on the defensive end. They just weren't as smothering of the opponent as they have been others. And a lot of that's Kentucky. They're really good. And, man, when they got shots, they hit them. So Kentucky just really played well. I mean, they did. It's not like State played bad. But State didn't get the outside shooting. There it is. And, we actually have talked about that some this year is State's got the kind of team where you're going to play some really good basketball teams and have a chance to beat them all. It's just going to come down to, did you shoot it well or did they shoot it well? Did their shots fall or did your shots fall? And there'll be your ballgame. And that's kind of what it was. That was a night where, in most cases, in most ways, State played well enough to win. It's just their shots didn't fall from the outside. Hubbard was cold, and Kentucky's shots did fall. See, it's one of the things you got to credit Kentucky for making the shots on the road in what was an incredible environment, for sure. Yeah, and we'll get to it. There's also news coming out of the NFL that Cowboys are going to make a change at their head coach, that McCarthy is going to be out as the coach of the Cowboys. Like that's the only answer. I don't know. We'll get into that also. All right, over here on the Country Pleasing text line, the number to text is 885-3776. And another good way to remember that number is 885-ESPN. Got it? 885-ESPN. Grumpy says, Matt, Grumpy was disappointed, but so optimistic about the future. State wins. Kentucky's offense, Jackson Robinson, number 2. Ainsley Alamore's late threes was just too much for State's defense. Kentucky shots dropped. State's didn't. There you go, Grumpy. That's kind of, again, it's just the way it looked and felt. Kentucky's shots dropped. State's did not. He says State scored 90 and lost at home. What more can you say about forward Cam Matthews? Yeah, I know. And just can do anything. Cam can just do anything. So the sleeping giant has awoken. Steals, defender, rebounder, rim protector. Grumpy said 19 points. Wow, Hail State and on to Auburn. Yeah, and, you dropped the home one with Kentucky, and now 2 out of the next 3 are on the road, including at Auburn and at Tennessee, and you get a home game in there with Ole Miss. By the way, too, okay, side note, broadcasting related. I missed a call earlier today from Bill. He was letting me know, maybe I could pass along to you. So if you are listening to this show in the middle of the day on WRKS, The Zone 105.9 in Jackson, then the Ole Miss and Mississippi State basketball game this coming weekend is actually not going to be on the station. It'll be on the sister station. W what? B? What's it? WJ what?
WJQS.
Yeah, I couldn't. Okay, WJQS, because you're going to have all this NFL playoff football on this station this weekend. So it will be on the radio there in Jackson. Just be on the sister station, the State Ole Miss basketball game. Did I get that right, B? I'm pretty sure that's the message he left me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we moved it there for NFL.
Okay, got it.
They'll be here tomorrow at 5:30 for the Auburn game.
Okay, here on RKS.
Right.
Okay, got it. As normal. Okay, so it's actually kind of an earlier road game for State tomorrow evening. All right. What is it? Nick says, so y'all had a Jack Clumpus / Morty Seinfeld situation going on with the HOA. Then he said Steven didn't steal his pen, did he? Take the pen! Take the pen! So that was Jack Clumpus, the character Jack Clumpus, Beeve, is that right? Seinfeld?
Yeah, by trying to take the power of HOA away from Morty.
Yeah, did he steal his pen? Thanks, Nick. Jason in Flagstaff, Arizona says, it sounded like foul trouble was the biggest thing. Said Uncle Neil literally said piecing it together at about 5 minutes into the second. A couple of guys had 3 or 4 fouls and already were sitting. Yeah, that was part of it too. See, so let's see. At the end of the ball game, you had Hubbard with 4. You had Nwoko, easy for me to say, Nwoko with 4 fouls apiece. You had Murphy with 3. So nobody fouled out, but 2 of your starters did have 4, including Hubbard. And so Hubbard's minutes went down. You know, in every game this year, Hubbard has been over 30 minutes in the game. And in this one, he was at 29. And, you know, you did see a few others playing. But, okay, and what can you say? It's a 95-90 game. Home team loses. State whistled for 16 fouls in the ball game. All total with the people that went in and played for Kentucky, they were whistled for 18 fouls. You know, not all are shooting, obviously. So at the free throw line, Kentucky went 11 of 19. State was 14 of 18 at the free throw line. And so what I would say, Jason, is based on those numbers and just kind of looking at it, yes, you know, it certainly affected State in that Hubbard was one of the guys in foul trouble and had to sit significant minutes in the second half. But the other side of that coin is the reason I would say myself that the foul trouble didn't swing the game one way or the other is because it was a night where when he was in there, Hubbard really couldn't throw it in the ocean as compared to the way he normally shoots it anyway. You know, 3 of 11 from 3, 5 of 16 shooting overall, just not, you know, at all his best shooting night. A little bit uncharacteristic of him anyway. So, you know, he misses the time on the floor, but it's not like he was having a great night shooting the basketball anyway. And when it was all said and done, Kentucky got whistled for more fouls. Now, they evened it out in the second half a little bit. I felt like in the first half, it was a little bit of that Kentucky thing. And, you know, from an officiating standpoint, they're kind of like they are to basketball what Alabama is to football. Is regardless of what the numbers are, officiating's always going to kind of be favorable to them, you know, especially in these regular season SEC games. And in the first half, you know, they really did. That officiating crew let Kentucky get away with lots of contact. And, you know, if you were State, you could not even be in the vicinity of somebody without getting a whistle for a foul. Okay, that's kind of how it felt, but they evened it out a little bit in the second half. What I would say, I felt like, I guess the previous game against Vandy, 𝐊𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐢, the transfer from Florida, didn't have his best game and turned it over some. And he came off the bench in this game early and immediately was a spark. Like, immediately you went, oh, okay. This is exactly what you hoped you were going to get out of him when he transferred in there. Phenomenal athlete. And immediately goes in here and hits an easy three. He's rebounding, he's flying around, distributing the basketball, and he only plays about 5 minutes and gets hurt and had to go out of the game. And I felt like that was actually a bigger factor, a bigger blow to the outcome for State. Losing him at all, can't play at all, versus even the foul calls versus no calls, because that sort of evened out in the second half. I think not having Kugel really did put a dent in what State was able to do in the game. Hail State fan pointed that out. He's on YouTube. He said 𝐊𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬 being hurt did not help. Did y'all ever hear what the injury is to 𝐊𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬? I didn't either. What is it? Somebody let me know if you got any info on that. Previously, a Hail State fan on the live stream, he also said, Hail State, hope everyone survived the wintry blast. You see that, Jason? He didn't say winter wonderland. He was thinking about it, I bet. But he said, hope everybody survived the wintry blast. I wonder if any MSU historians could tell us what the coldest baseball opener was. Coldest on record. We might have to check in with Winslow on that. He's sort of our resident listener, State baseball historian. Maybe he would know. Now, Sven, look at his take on the basketball game. He's in Berlin. He says, Hail State, everyone. It was the worst game State played all year. How about that? What do you think? So what do the numbers say? Look at let's look at Hubbard. For example, again, Hubbard, who is such a big-time threat and outside shooter. He goes 3 of 11 from 3, so he could not get the shots to fall while he was in there. He did get in foul trouble. He finished the game with 4 fouls, only played 29 minutes, which is on average, 2 or 3 minutes less than his average because of the foul trouble. But also, he's one of the best in the country in terms of, guys who play that many minutes with turnovers. He does not turn the ball over. Well, he had 2 in this game in just 29 minutes, 2 assists. So he was dead even in assist to turnover, which for him, Sven, that's uncharacteristic. He's usually plus whatever and playing more minutes and shooting the ball a little better. So he really struggled. Kentucky did a good job on him. Cam Matthews' night, it really was incredible. To go for 19 and 10, a double-double. He had 6 steals to go along with it. But as a team, State was in the game 13 assists to 6 turnovers, so really good. They're plus 100% in the assist to turnover, 13 to assist to 6 turnovers. So that's good. But really, in terms of shooting, just 45% from the floor, 30% from 3. 9 of their 12 3-point shots they hit were in the second half. And then 77% from the free throw line. Let's look at the comparison on this thing, the split. They shot 56%. State was at 45. 3-point, they go 16 of 32. Hit 16 threes, go for 50% on the night. So it's hard to beat anybody. State, but when you look at points off turnovers, well, first of all, Kentucky doubled up. State has always caused a lot of turnovers, right? Kentucky turned it over 13 times. State just 6. Points off those turnovers. State had 20. They had 7. So big advantage for State right there. They got out rebounded, not by double digits, but they did get out rebounded. Second chance points were the same, 15 and 16. Bench points are the same, 20 and 19. They're all within a point of each other. Points in the paint, State was better, 8 points better, 34-28 in the paint. More assists for Kentucky. They moved the ball really well, and that's another thing that hurt State's defense and why they got some open shots. They moved the ball. And 21 assists in the ball game for Kentucky and just 13 for State. But really, so Sven, for me, again, I differ a little bit from your take on it. I don't think it was necessarily the worst game they played all year. We're kind of splitting hairs there because they hadn't had a whole bunch of bad games, if any, right? When they lost to Butler just shot the eyes out. And really, Kentucky comes in there and does the same thing. Nick said 16, this is on the text line, by the way, the country pleasing text line. Nick said 16 threes on 50% shooting. Kid averaging 8 a game, puts up 27. Seen that movie 100 times, they'll be fine. It's true, right? That's what Kentucky does when it goes to the hump. They're going to have some kid who's averaging 8 points. He's going to hit a bunch of threes and go for nearly 30, and they win a 1 or 2 possession game. That's kind of how it felt. Hunter, welcome to the show. He's on live stream. He says, Hail State, everybody, listening to you from a tire shop in Birmingham. They can't stop me from listening. You got earbuds or are we on speaker? Let me know. Just getting started with you here on this Monday. Stick around. Y'all heard me talk about Murray West and MurrayWest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. I say they do quality stuff. They really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, MurrayWest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough. If you need your logo printed, embroidered, sewn on to anything, custom apparel and other stuff, make sure you go there. Murray West, you can find them online. MurrayWest.com. That's MURRY West.com.
I'm Eddie Holcomb with Washington County Farm Bureau Insurance.
I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County.
I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau.
I'm Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
I think you know what time it is. It's time to eat. Country pleasing, jalapeno and cheddar, green onion. And no, it's not a grill, see that? But the fire is just about burnt down enough where it's time to put some of this on there. And the only decision when it comes to country pleasing sausage is which flavor, jalapeno and cheddar or maybe green onion. Both.
Break me off a piece of that.
Look at that. What that is. That's real green onion. Like that monkey who set his tail on a railroad track. It won't be long now. Country pleasing sausage, these flavors and many, many others. Get them online at countrypleasing.com. At a grocery store near you, pretty much anywhere in the Southeast. Walk up in there and say, Country Pleasing, please. They'll know what you're talking about.
I was born and raised in Greenville. I've always called Greenville home. This is where I, was raised, went to high school, graduated high school, worked all my life here, leading up to going to college. So even when I moved from Greenville, I always told people, they asked me where you're from, I always said I'm from Greenville. I have mother, father, brother, niece, aunt, all live here in Greenville. So this is home. This is where I, live, and I've just always called it home. Small town, I feel like I could walk in any place tomorrow and know 2 to 3 people in there. It's small town. Someone's on the side of the road broken down. Hey, you need a boost, flat tire, you need help changing it. That's just kind of, what I love about this area. The blues and the food and everything that comes along with the Mississippi Delta that I love. I tell people all the time, my business cards have my cell phone number on them for a reason. Insurance doesn't happen from 8 to 5. When you need me, it's going to be after 5. It hardly ever happens where
Sitting here talking, I got to turn the mic on. There we go. Now we got a show. Been doing this long enough. That shouldn't happen, right? Well, I guess you can't completely eliminate all mistakes. Back with you on this Monday, kind of a reaction Monday. Get on in here. Whatever you want to get into is cool with me. Just let me know. Hunter commented on YouTube. He said, I hope Cam Matthews gets an NBA spot. Is he that kind of player? I think he's that kind of athlete. Is he that kind of player? I don't know. You'd love to see it, though. Cam's a great guy, too. Just a really fine person. Good to be with y'all here on this Monday in the Bureau. The Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Let me say that again. The Farm Bureau Insurance Studio, Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team. They are your home team. Danny, does Kentucky just have State's number? Yeah, they sure do. What are we now? 19 out of the last 20. Kentucky has won 19 out of the last 20 games against State in basketball. So I'd say they have their number for sure. Hail State fan said, Coach said State has the worst 3-point field goal defense in the league. Coach who? Jans? I guess that's a stat I could look up. But they were, that's the thing about it. Kentucky did hit the shots, but they had some, wide open shots in the game, compared to, State had a few open ones, but not as many, especially Hubbard. Hubbard seemed like every time he was fogging one up, he had a hand in his face. So there's a big difference. Yeah, that was the number. Sven said Kentucky is 19-0 against State in the last 19 meetings. Good grief. That is a heck of a run. It probably says a lot about Kentucky, but I think it also says a lot about State over those years. And they're better now, but still got some humps to get over if you want to get to the top of this thing. Will commented and said, Hail State and happy Monday, Matt. Proud of the hump on Saturday. Sorry for the final score. Yeah, the atmosphere was awesome, wasn't it? It really was. The atmosphere was just awesome. The pictures and video that I saw, I didn't get to go, but the pictures and video that I saw were just incredible. And it's what you got to have. Win or lose, it's what you have to have. Let's see. And for those that care, I'm not a big rankings guy, but for those that care, somebody just sent me this on X, formerly Twitter. Said they put State at 15 in the AP and number 18 in the coaches poll. That's in basketball. So, again, you're going to have almost 70 teams, almost, but not quite 70 teams get in the postseason, but we're going to rank 25 of them throughout the year. And I guess that's just because that's what football did all those years. But I digress. Don't get me started on that. Now, Sven has another take on it. He said, we lost the game on offense. He says that at one point we were 2 of 14 from the three-point line. Go to the rim and take the easy shots. Yeah, but that's the thing. Hey, and Sven, look, I'm not disagreeing with you just to disagree, but what I'm looking at here, you watch the game and the other team's shooting the lights out. You're not defending well on the perimeter. The other team's shooting the lights out from three. And so you're in catch-up mode at times anyway. But the numbers are kind of okay in the paint in those matchups. It's not like there was a tremendous advantage over there for Kentucky in the paint, like I said earlier. So State's credited with 34 points in the paint and Kentucky with 28. Okay, so a difference of 6, but still an advantage for State. You look at runouts, fast break stuff. State was to the good, 16-13 in the fast break points. Second chance points. So we're looking at offensive rebounding. State had more, 16-15 in that one. I mentioned the turnovers deal. State only turned the ball over 6 times the entire game. Kentucky turned it over 13, and State had 20 points off those 13 turnovers. So the points off turnovers was 20-7, State to the good. So, again, the way I look at it, and again, I watched the game too, and it's just like it's the threes. It's the three-point shots that Kentucky was able to get open and hit. There it is. There's your ball game. To me, yeah, State, struggled. And I gave you that number a minute ago. So if I'm reading this right, in the second half, State was 9 of 24 from 3. 9 of 24 from 3 in the second half, which meant they were 3 for 16 at halftime. So it's just, whether you say, you lose it on offense or whatever, it's just the shooting. I really think that's what we're looking at. We're not looking at something where, State's got some big deficiency that Kentucky took advantage of. No, State beat them in the paint. They beat them on the fast break. They beat them on the offensive glass. State doubled them up in turnovers and more than doubled them up in points off those turnovers, meaning Kentucky had more turnovers. State created twice as many as they committed. State played really well. And it just comes down to one team got more open shots on the perimeter and hit them. It's a 95-90 game that was a great atmosphere where, again, outside of three-point shooting, where State went 12 of 40, State played really well. Outshot them at the free throw line. Kentucky won the game on the road because they hit the shots. It strictly came down to shooting. And really, when you have two really good teams, which, frankly, that's what that is. That's two really good teams. And if both teams play well, which they did, it'll come down to who hits the shots. We're talking about a 5-point game. And I still go back to what I said in the first of the show. I'm convinced that this was a game. It's not a convenient excuse because he's the one that got hurt. But I'm convinced that this was a game where a Riley Kugel coulda, shoulda, woulda been the difference if you were going to win it. And he went in. As soon as he went in, he's playing with his hair on fire. He goes in off the bench. Kentucky is getting into its bench. And I'm just telling you, Kentucky doesn't have someone on their bench coming off their bench who's a better athlete than Riley Kugel. And when he's playing well, which right off the bat, He's running up down the floor faster than people. He's defending great. He's to the rim. He's, up and under lay-in. He's a three-point shot. He's over there blocking a shot, at the rim and gets hurt. And he's he played a grand total of, 5 minutes? I can tell you exactly. Maybe I'm off here. 8 minutes. He played a grand total of 8 minutes. And losing him was big. Because, with him and everybody healthy, one of the things that State has had this year is depth that other teams haven't had. So I'm disappointed in the loss for State. But I am not discouraged at all. Not even a little bit. You play that same game against Tennessee and Auburn, and the shots fall, you get a chance to win those games. And I think, by the way, they just ranked Auburn number 1. Now, Justin says if we can't beat Kentucky this year, probably not going to be able to beat them because they beat them in every category except threes. That's one thing State has never done is shoot threes well. And, Justin, what you're saying kind of goes back to what Sven said is, take the ball inside. But, I think State did pretty well. And when you're playing from behind late and at one point the lead for Kentucky did go to double digits, you just feel like you have to, shoot the ball from the outside some. Jason in Flagstaff says, if that's really the number 6 team in the country, win or lose, State has something. Well, yeah, I know, right? I know. And you're fixing to get a up-close personal look in their gym tomorrow night at who is supposed to be the number 1 team in the country, and that's Auburn. And that'll be an interesting thing, too. I would love to hear the coaching points in the locker room for Coach Jans going into that game tomorrow night, because good and well part of it is drilling it into our players' heads. Guys, don't get pulled into an altercation. Don't let them do it. Auburn is Auburn. They are absolutely going to try every way possible to start a fight. They're going to push and shove. They're going to say things to you beyond the normal trash talk. They're going to go beyond the whistle. That's Auburn. They're going to try every way possible to start a fight. And as soon as you retaliate, they're hoping you get teed up, and then they're really going to try to get you another and get you thrown out of the game. That's their game. Don't get pulled into it tomorrow night when you play Auburn. All right. Rolling along. On this Monday, stick around.
Inspired by Chuck.
I like adventures.
I was born and raised in Greenville. I've always called Greenville home. This is where I, was raised, went to high school, graduated high school, worked all my life here leading up to going to college. So even when I moved from Greenville, I always told people, they asked me where you're from, I always said I'm from Greenville. I have mother, father, brother, niece, aunt, all live here in Greenville. So this is home. This is where I, live, and I've just always called it home. Small town, I feel like I could walk in any place tomorrow and know 2 to 3 people in there. It's small town. Someone's on the side of the road broken down. Hey, you need a boost, flat tire, you need help changing it. That's just kind of, you know, what I love about this area, the blues and the food and everything that comes along with the Mississippi Delta that I love. You know, I tell people all the time, my business cards have my cell phone number on them for a reason. Insurance doesn't happen from 8 to 5. You know, when you need me, it's going to be after 5. It hardly ever happens where you have a wreck, you know, get pulled over, you know, need an insurance card, wind blows, you know, shingles off your roof. All these things happen, and it's typically after 5. And so the ability for someone to call me, get in contact with me, text me, ask me a question, and that's what it's about to me, is helping the people that we serve, is taking care of people and them knowing that they can count on me whenever they need me. I am Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
Y'all have heard me talk about Murray West and murraywest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. When I say they do quality stuff, they really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, I mean, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, you know, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, murraywest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough. If you need your logo printed, embroidered, sewn on to anything, all right, back with you. I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team. They are your home team. I'm Matt. Beaver is here. Thank you all for hanging in there with me. My voice is not hanging in there. I am not sick. Feel great. But whatever voice vocal cord issue I've got going on is like left over from when I was sick over the Christmas holidays, and I'm having a hard time with it. So it's been getting worse. And so we're going to be with you for this segment, and we'll do a 1-hour show today, and that'll be it for today. And that's a call that I'm making here, and maybe some rest today will get me going. I'll be back with y'all tomorrow in the Bureau with Beaver in the home Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. So we got a little bit of time left with you here today. Now, Gene's pointing out on Facebook, he says Auburn's top player, Broom, is out for the game tomorrow night. And I saw where he got hurt in their game this past weekend, and I didn't see it. I saw it. I saw where someone said, okay, so he got hurt and he had to be carried off the field, the court, and not going to be able to play tomorrow night. And so, you know, maybe that's a boost for State in that game. They're going to need all the help they can get on the Plains tomorrow night. That is for sure. Hale State fan commented and said, I follow the Lady Vols hoops, and they've lost a few 1 or 2 possession games with horrible 3-point shooting and not getting to the free throw line much at all. Trade a few missed threes for the drives to get fouled. Yeah. You know, and some of that is too, it's like just kind of knowing who you are. I look, State is, from a shooting standpoint, State's going to have some games where they get hot and shoot the lights out. They're going to do it. And what they really need is for that to happen in one of these games where they're on the road here, like an Auburn or a Tennessee, and get that kind of win. They're really going to need that, you know. These next three, it's such an important stretch. And now you drop the home game against Kentucky, but it's such an important stretch. It's not a be-all, end-all. You know, you shudder to think about it as a State fan. You go 0-4 in this stretch against Kentucky, Auburn, Ole Miss, and Tennessee, and you think, oh no, it's not going to move you. It's not going to move you out of the NCAA tournament, but it sure changes things. But you know, I just think with where you are and the way they prepared themselves, and really with what they are and what they're capable of, you need to win a couple of these games. And you know, you have a day shooting the ball Saturday, for example, at home, the way you did against Kentucky, and Ole Miss will beat you in there. They're good enough to beat you. And I still say, you know, you look at that game against Kentucky, their State again being who they are. They did not turn it over on offense. Only 6 turnovers in the game. Created 13 turnovers for Kentucky. It's one thing State does really well. And Ole Miss doesn't turn the ball over. That's like, to me, the matchup within the matchup is, you know, Ole Miss offensively, their ball handling and, you know, ball security. Sounds like a football term. But, and then State's MO of really harassing other teams, creating a lot of turnovers. That'll be a big matchup in that game coming up this weekend for sure. Who are the other ones? Yeah. Gosh. And the SEC men's basketball is so thick. I mean, it is tough, isn't it? Scores on Saturday. I mean, look at all these top teams. So Tennessee goes to Texas and wins by 4, 74-70. Auburn, 2 in the country, now they're 1. They go to South Carolina, who was 0-2 in the league, and play a 3-point ball game, 66-63. Alabama, you had a top 10 matchup. Alabama went to Texas A&M in College Station, and it was an unbelievably good game. It is like a little bit like the State and Kentucky game, kind of a mirror of that, where you had a top 10-ish, top 15 team like A&M at home hosting a top 5 team in Alabama. Bama won it 94-88. Heck of a ball game. A heck of a win for Alabama on the road. Florida beat Arkansas in Fayetteville 71-63. 8-point win for them. Huge win for Georgia. You know, they had Oklahoma ranked, again, for whatever it's worth, but Georgia with a 10-point win at home over Oklahoma. Georgia had the win over Kentucky, you know, going into that one. Ole Miss took care of business. You know, they didn't blow LSU out, but took care of business. And so Ole Miss is 3-0 in the SEC right now. And Missouri with the win at home over Vandy. So tomorrow night, State goes to Auburn. Ole Miss will hit the road and go to Tuscaloosa. A really tough road trip for them. Boy, you know, State and Ole Miss both tough road trips before they play each other this coming Saturday. A&M, coming off its loss, will go to Rupp Arena and play Kentucky. Missouri will go to Florida tomorrow night. They're putting that one on ESPNU. And Arkansas and LSU late tomorrow night on the SEC network. So one of those teams is going to get their first SEC win. They're both 0-3 in the league. You got a handful of games on Wednesday night. You get South Carolina at Vandy. You get Georgia, who they ranked them. They ranked Georgia now. I told you that Ole Miss win over Georgia just gets better and better, it seems like. Georgia goes to Tennessee on Wednesday night. And the 2 newbies in the league, neither are ranked, again, for whatever it's worth. But at Wednesday night at 9 on the SEC network, it's Texas at Oklahoma. The two new kids on the block in the SEC, and they are combined 0-6 in the league. One of them's going to get their first SEC win after a combined start of 0-6 in men's basketball in their first year in the league. All right, before we run out of time, hey, congrats, Delta Tide fan on the Country Pleasing text line. Sent me some pictures. They went deer hunting. He and his wife went deer hunting together. She was shooting his Browning 270. Sunday, a 14.5-inch spread, 9-point. Congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Tide fan. That is really cool to see couples out in the outdoors enjoying it together. Man, that's awesome. Beautiful 9-point too. Man, that's a great photo. Congrats to you and congrats to y'all. Delta Tide fan, thanks for sharing that, man. Really neat to see it. Grumpy texted me and he said, yeah, Matt, it's great to see two really good basketball teams in Mississippi. Grumpy likes both coaches. Man, they're good, aren't they? I mean, yeah, really. Beard and Jans. You know what I like about them is, both guys seem to be really thankful and appreciative of where they are, the opportunities they have to coach at our schools here in Mississippi. Neither of them are showboats who make it about themselves. And, there's been some winning coaches, some really good winning coaches, but they always seem to have a way of making it about themselves. And I don't really like that. Even though you are paying these guys, the players, it's still the games, and the game should be about them and not, always all the focus on the coaches. And so you have guys at State and Ole Miss both that they don't make it about themselves. They're kind of team first. They just put their head down and coach, and it's like toughness. They're not throwing the kind of money at pay-for-play basketball like some of these other schools around the country are. But they do really well in recruiting, but they're about toughness. You look at Jans, like he's defense first. We're going to coach offense, but it's going to happen off of our defense. You look at Coach Beard at Ole Miss, man, there's nothing flashy about it. It's just straight up hard-nosed, good basketball. Perfect spacing on defense. Great ball handling. Excellent ball movement. Share it around. Everybody gets a look at it. And it's team first basketball. So they're on to something for sure. And last year Jans had that win over Auburn. And I think right after that, I sent out a tweet or a post on X, formerly Twitter, that said, I would like to take this opportunity to thank John Cohen for hiring Chris Jans. And it was like, people go, well, that's a shot at Cohen. No, I genuinely meant that. That's the way it is, I guess. If you're an AD, you hire the right guy at one school, you quit and bolt, and you got to go play against him. And the guy you hired at the other place, turns out he was a really good hire because he beat your butt. And State's fans are sure hoping it happens again tomorrow night on the road. Tall task, though, for sure. All right, so the voice is weak. We're going to let it rest. So after an hour today, we'll wrap it up. And I do appreciate you understanding. For Beaver, I'm Matt. All of us here on the show. We'll see you tomorrow. See you.